So what's going to happen in that generation is some of them will completely embrace the AI world, the metaverse, so to speak. They will completely embrace that. They will happily live in that. They will be whatever kind of a slob they are in the real world, but boy, do they look good inside the metaverse, and they're making money in there, and they're doing they're just, the more of their life they can spend inside that thing, the better. Then there's going to be the other half that, broadly speaking, are going to view that as a tool, the same way you and I would view Facebook or having a website or the online world. It's a tool as a part of your life, but it will become an increasingly detached tool. It will become its own world. And so they will actually have a greater desire, I think, than even our generation does for real face-to-face contact, because it's the only thing that you can be sure is real, is one when you're actually standing there talking to the person face-to-face. And I think what we're going to see is actually a resurgence towards local pubs, local gaming clubs and communities, board gaming and card gaming, men's clubs, not in the modernized sexual services sense of the expression, but men's, gentlemen's clubs. Churches are going to definitely be a beneficiary of this move. And we're going to see a really entrenched desire for real physical face-to-face communication. Now, the only thing that's going to save the AI side of things is blockchain authentication. It's the one, the use of blockchain to actually be able to be certain that you really are talking to the person that they say that they are. At the moment, we use someone's face, we use someone's voice. Already, you can't rely on someone's voice. If you get a phone call from an unrecognized number and it's a familiar person saying, I was traveling and I lost my phone and I need money and blah, 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 it ain't them. I don't care how authentic it sounds. This is a scam that already exists.
Yep.
People are already losing money to this. We are 2, maybe 3 years away from it being their face on a video call, and it will be just as real. The only way to then authenticate anything online is going to be through a trusted blockchain-driven authentication. That'll become the only way to actually do that. But I think the reality is we're going to see a lot more people craving real, in-person, face-to-face connection, because so much will be offered in this digital world that'll be so fancy and so appealing and so tantalizing. It'll just that dopamine high will become so overwhelming that it actually becomes numbing.
I'm seeing it with myself and my kids, just on social media or on YouTube and stuff like that. Like half of this stuff now is AI. Like it's not real.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah.
But someone that's 12, 13, 14, 15 years old can't tell.
Yeah.
At the moment, right? Like I remember talking about this on the pod 6-12 months ago. Oh, it's not great. It's not great. Now it's amazing.
Yeah.
Where's it going to be in another 12 to 18 months, right? So, and I'm a big believer in that as well. I think, moving forward, in-house events, it will be something that will be craved by a lot of people, because again, on this online world, you don't know what's real or what's not.
And I don't know if you guys touched on it earlier, because I just went to the bathroom quickly, but if robots and all the jobs that we used to do are being done for us, the natural inclination is going to be to seek contact again, right?
Yeah. Well, there's definitely going to be that. I want to address the issue of Luddites very briefly. If we've touched on that. There are people saying, oh, AI is going to take all of our jobs. Well, steam power took a lot of the jobs that existed back then. Mechanized agriculture destroyed an enormous amount of employment. It used to be that I believe it was about 90+% of the population was involved in, as a full-time occupation, was involved in making food to feed the 100% of the population. So it took about 0.9 of a human being's life to feed one human being on average. And that was just the reality, because they were hoeing by hand and planting by hand and watering by hand, and they didn't have all the technology that we have. Now it's about 7% of the population is directly engaged in food production. And so the Luddites would have you believe, the people that are saying, oh, the AI is going to take everyone's jobs, then what are people going to do for a living? Well, what did all those people that used to grow food do for a living? Well, they became machine operators because the age of steam had come. They invented entire new industries and entire new ways of living. Lots more people now work in entertainment and content creation than ever before. Lots more people work fewer hours and pursue hobbies and passions and things like that than ever before. The same thing's going to happen here.
Do you have a view of what the jobs and industries of the future will be? Like if you had to predict?
I would suggest to you that the role of the entrepreneur will actually become easier, but more specialized. Let me try. This isn't something I've ever tried to articulate before. So let me see how I go. I apologize if it doesn't quite come out well. The role of the entrepreneur will remain exactly the same. The role of the entrepreneur is to observe needs and to meet them. It's as simple as that. And it's boiled down to its most basic form. But it won't be possible to compete without an understanding of how to use AI, to do market research, to do content, to do funnel strategies with interacting with clients and customers, etc. There will be a skill set that will be needed that will involve AI, that will involve a much more elevated level of technology. But let me give you an existing reference for that. It used to be that for you to be a high-flying executive, you didn't have to know how to type. You had a secretary for that. The company had an entire typist pool of people that were employed because they had the skill of typing. Mm-hmm. You didn't need to drive because driving was a specialist occupation. Right? There was a person who wore gloves and a suit and kept the car immaculately prepared, and you would open the door for you and you would sit in there and they would drive. Now, we can still do that today. The difference is we know how to get behind the wheel and operate that thing. Back then, it might as well have been an aeroplane. Right? They didn't know how to do it. Now we have integrated into our lives an enormous skill set that we don't observe. We don't notice that actually we are all machine operators. We are all drivers. We are all typists. We are all technologists. These are things that used to be discrete professions as these technologies emerged. The same thing's happening right now. We're all looking at AI going, oh goodness, you've got to be a specialist. You've got to there's people that just do this for a living. I better go and get a consultant. I better go and get a specialist. For the kids that are growing up with AI, that will be integrated into their knowledge pool.
I wonder if we go from big business back to small business, like you said.
Decentralization.
Yes, right. Like the 9 to 5 will disappear. Everybody, in essence, will be an entrepreneur, but instead of being an Elon Musk and trying to do all these global things, I run an e-commerce business and I have so many freelance guys that work for me and have like a handful of clients. Yeah. So we all become entrepreneurs that service a handful of people rather than monopolies.
So this is back to the technology enabling decentralization piece. Let me give you a more commerce oriented example rather than a political jurisdiction oriented example. The books that I just gave you guys, if I, as an author, wanted to write a book, how much I paid to get that book printed depended on how many copies I had printed. If I wanted to get a good price for the book, I have to do a run of at least 1,000, probably 10,000 before my price really starts to get good.